PowerPlayChess, brought to you in association with Tkac. Here's another best game prize performance from the ACO tournament held in Crete, October 2024, just a few months ago. It's won by Miroslav Tkac from Slovakia and features a crushing London system. This is very instructive, not just in terms of white strategy, but also shows you perhaps what you shouldn't play as black. Remember, the next ACO event is going to be on the Greek island of Kos in May. 2 tournaments, World Amateur and Super Seniors over 65. And then it's back in Crete in October 2025. I can't recommend these tournaments highly enough. They combine a chess tournament with a holiday. They're really relaxing, great conditions. I'll put the link to the ACO website in the comments below. I'll pin it on top. Do check it out. It's a great experience. So let's look at this game. D4 by white. Tkac, Miroslav Tkac playing white. Klaus-Dieter Fenske playing black. So it's a London system. All normal so far. Bishop d6. I think this is a good way to counter the London system. White doesn't want to exchange. That gives black a very free game. Takes the pressure off. But Tkac plays bishop g3, which is one of the usual moves. Of course, if black exchanges, then that opens up the file for the rook. That can be very interesting for white. Now, black castle, that's quite early, but it still shouldn't be a problem. You can develop your queenside first, but it's still possible. So that bishop is dangerous. c5, black needs to attack the centre. Now, it's at this moment where I'm not sure that black plays in the best way. In fact, I'm pretty sure this is not the best way. c4 takes the pressure off white's centre. The bishop drops back anyway. The bishop is still good on this diagonal. Now, I think if black is going to play like this, then you should just try and get some counterplay with b4. But black plays knight c6. Knight d2 and rook e8, and I mean, I think this is a sure sign that black is a bit confused, not quite sure what to do. If black breaks with e5, then okay, this is playable, but knight e5, of course. The knight hits the outpost, opens up this diagonal. Yes, I know the knight is here, but it's still dangerous. And maybe the f-pawn can advance as well. So, g6. Now, I'd like you to have a think about how you'd play next with white. And I will have a drink. What should white play here? Cheers. Well, this is one of those cases where white has delayed castling quite correctly. And you can use that very well by bringing this rook into the game. So this is a classic case where h4 is an excellent move. And if h5 comes, cracking open the h-file, well, I think black's king is already in massive trouble. So this is the game continuation. You might say, well, what if black just blocks that out? Problem is that now this pawn is a bit weaker, and white can exploit that very well just by spinning the knight over. It's going to come to g5. Once it reaches there, you can see it's looking at this sensitive point. g6 is also vulnerable. If knight e4 tried to block out this bishop, then an exchange on d6, and then knight e5. Now you can see that white is ready to play g4, just breaking open the king side. Once that happens, then black's king is in massive trouble. And the problem is, you want to get rid of this knight, of course. But if f6, then just knight takes g6. You see, this is the problem when you advance the h-pawn. It actually weakens the g6 pawn. and possible to get rid of that knight, and then g4 just comes very easily. I think from this moment on, black is just in massive trouble. This is such a natural attacking move. Well, black exchanged and played knight h5. So in this way, he's, physically preventing white from playing h5, and, perhaps hoping to take here and take on e5. But very simple response, bishop h2. And of course, white is ready just to push that knight out of the way and keep going. Or simply bring the knight to f3. And yeah, I mean, with the exchange of this dark square bishop, you can see these squares are incredibly weak. If this bishop can just worm its way in. Now, black was incredibly brave here and took that pawn. White came up with an excellent response to this. Simply knight f3. The point is that if queen g4, bishop g3, watch out for this, and in fact that queen is just trapped. So this is the problem. So the queen had to go back. This is the game continuation. g4 pushes the knight back. Bishop f4, you see that bishop is going to come in to f6, and well, it's going to be mate before you know it. All you need to do is bring the queen over. And this is absolutely fatal. I mean, it doesn't take much just to nudge the king up the board. So Klaus-Dieter decided to play f5 to at least try to get some connection. So Miroslav took that and then played knight g5, played with great energy. Excellent move. Just hitting that pawn here. And this is really tough. I mean, if black plays h5, that can just be exchanged off. Simple exchange sack. The queen comes in, and I don't think black is going to last very long here. With all these pieces attacking, that's attacked as well. And if you want to really just put the boot in here, then you can just advance the king or castle queenside and bring the queen's rook into play. I mean, it's obviously a winning position. So e5 was played, and knight takes h7, hits the queen. Queen f7 comes back. Bishop g5. So the bishop comes round anyway and wants to support the knight coming to f6. And again, that'll be absolutely fatal. The rook came up to protect the f6 square, but then just queen takes d5. And there's no, there's no defense here. I mean, if bishop d7, then castle queenside just brings the queen's rook into play. I mean, black cannot last here. Black can't withstand the attack. Knight e7 played, and this just wins a piece. Absolutely crushing, because if rook takes, then there's knight f6 check with a nice fork. And white is just a piece up here. And these were the final moves. That bishop doing sterling work. And that's another piece in the bag. And that's another piece in the bag. Nice skewer to finish. Isn't it funny how in this game neither king nor rooks actually moved at all, but how effective was that rook on the h-file? And actually this queen's rook was always ready to join the attack. Crushing attack, classic London system. But I want to come back to this move. So this is where I said c4 mistake, because it takes the pressure off white's centre. Here, I think black has to fight for control over this square. So queen c2 would be my recommendation. Queen c7 would be my recommendation. So if, let's say, knight e5, similar to the game, then knight d7, put some pressure here. Now exchanging doesn't help at all. So f4, this is the classic way to play, but then knight e4. And you can see that black is ready to either play f6 to drive away the knight, or potentially f5 just to support that knight here. And you can see how that blocks out this bishop. Or if knight d2, knight d7 again. And you can see that black with these pieces now has control over e5. And in fact, black would like to push with e5, and that just liberates black's position. When I said that this takes pressure off the center, let me demonstrate this. In this position, remember, black played rook e8. Well, if you try queen c7 here with similar ideas to how we've just been looking at with e5, then white can play e4. You can see the pressure is off this pawn, and so white can break in the middle, and that also gives white an excellent game. You can see this move c4 is just a mistake. If the pawn were on c5, you could exchange and cause some trouble. But this is just a very pleasant position for white. So there we go. Very nice game by Miroslav Tkac. Crushing attack with the London system. But next time, I would recommend queen c7 in this position. Remember, do check out the ACO website for full details of those tournaments I mentioned, and well, hopefully I'll see you at one of them.